So how about some tricks of the trade? First, you got to know that embossing powder is going to stick to anything wet. So I am going to do a little demonstration where I just take some water, really just water, and I'm going to put it, this is actually some watercolor paper, and I just did a swirl, and while it's wet, you have to do this quickly, which I may not have done quickly enough. You dump some powder on it. Oh, I did all right. Look, there's my little swirl. I guess it could be a 9 or a 6. It melts right on there, and I've got an embossed strange swirly that I made. You can also use Vaseline if you have items that you kind of want to cover and emboss, and you can use erasable ink pens to actually write things. You could do it with calligraphy. Anything that is going to give you a little bit of time to get that powder on there to stick is going to work. So the next trick I have for you is embossing embellishments. And one of Mom's favorite things to do, she would take puzzle pieces, she would take things that she cut out with a punch die or punch, you name it, she would use it. We also used to sell these little metal, what she called brass charms. So I'm going to show you a trick because a lot of people use Versamark or pigment inks to put on their embellishments first, but no matter whether it's metal or paper or chipboard or whatever, you can actually heat it with your heat gun, get it kind of hot. You can then just dip it in here. If I had a little bowl, it'd probably be a little better than this because I'm going to make a mess. So, well, you can already see that's already starting to, because I had it so hot, it's already starting to melt. So I can just heat it up. Can see how I've got my brass charm silver. So easy peasy. I'll show you some things that Mom had done. This was one of her favorites. She would take puzzle pieces, and this is actually a necklace she would wear that she made, and she just took those puzzle pieces, got them nice and hot, and then dipped them in some embossing powder, and then as she heated the embossing powder, she added a second color on there so that you'd get a variety of colors. And then this one she stamped, this one she did not. So you can see that texture, which a lot of our pictures online show some texture, and that just shows you some of the deeper colors that you can get with our embossing powder. Here's another. These are leaves that she used from a punch. They're just paper. And she did the same technique with the gripper, heated them up, and then dipped them in embossing powder, and then she kind of laid them out and sprinkled them with a second color, which is why you get such pretty. If you have a thicker cardstock, this is I would say people would almost call it chipboard at this point. This is an embellishment we used to sell. We don't have any more, so no, you can't find it, sorry. Anyway, one of the ways that you can emboss him is obviously just hit him with your Versamark. I've seen that there's some embossing pens you can use. Just get them all nice and juicy. And then you are going to put, I'm going to use my tatted tray on this guy. And I'm going to use some of our chunkies, which work really well on embellishments that are bigger because they're chunky. They don't do super well on stamped projects, though I have seen some people do it and it's pretty cool. So obviously, because it's stuck on there, you just heat it up and have at it. One of the other things you can do with embellishments like this once you've got them heated is you can get them nice and hot again. And like I said, with the puzzle pieces that Mom did, she would just kind of randomly, oh, and I'm going to make a mess because I got the other stuff below there. Don't follow my example. I'm just giving you ideas. Anyway, you could add a second color over the top, even though I've contaminated my Carefree Verdigris, but that's okay. But you can see there that it adds another color on top. So here goes another technique. One of my mom's favorite things, because she wasn't a super detailed crafter, she's kind of a more free-for-all. She loved to take and just kind of blob the embossing powder on something. In this case, oops, now I've just sprinkled it all over because I'm not left-handed. I have just put it on a tag. There's nothing on the tag. It is no Versamark, no heat, no water, no nothing. And if you, let's see if I can be coordinated enough without dropping things. Heat from below, the majority of the embossing powder will stay on here, and you can see it starting to melt. And then one of the things she loved to do is sprinkle in a couple other colors. Let's just do that guy. Ooh, he turned out kind of cool. And then you could, because it's still hot, you can kind of swirl it around, make all kinds of cool, almost marbly looking. Obviously, you can play with that as much as you want. And then if I continue to heat it and kind of remelt it a little bit, but she also, one of her favorite things is she liked to stamp into it. And you can use any rubber stamp, doesn't have to be clean, can be dirty. That's kind of how we craft here at Lindy's. Or I do, I shouldn't say everybody. Then you just kind of let it cool down just a hair. And then you pull it off. And you can see now I've got, you don't really see what the stamp is, but I've got texture in there too.